is one of the last sounds that develop for children who speak English. Usually by about age 7, I would expect a child to be able to say their R's. If your child is close to 7, or definitely if they're older than 7, we want to start working on correcting those R's that are said incorrectly. I will just say that R can be a challenging sound to correct because there are so many different R sounds. R is influenced by vowels a lot. So you have the you have R, ear, air, or, ire. There's lots of different R sounds. You might notice as you listen to your child's speech that maybe they're good at saying the or sound, but they have a hard time saying the air sound. So noticing those differences can be helpful when you are working on that sound and trying to correct it. There are 2 different ways that you can say the R sound. There's one way where the tip of the tongue is up. So you start like with an L, oh, and then you move the tongue tip back a little bit to the back of the mouth. This isn't how I say it, so it's kind of awkward for me to do it this way, but it is a way that can be taught. The way that I say my R's and the way that I teach most of my clients to say R is to have their tongue go back towards the top of their mouth, up high. It has to be tight, it has to be high, and it has to be back. If they're not doing some of those things, the R isn't going to be sounding right. So, You can try looking in a mirror with this sound. It could be helpful, especially if they're making a w sound for the sound. But a lot of times it's hard and they just have to get the feeling right. But I always make sure high and back and tight. For little kids, younger kids, you can practice this by making all sorts of different animal sounds. You can growl like a bear, grrr. You can roof like a dog, ruff. You can roar like a lion or a tiger, roar. And you can even be a pirate, right? And practice your good R sound. Older kids might not really like making those animal sounds. So you can talk about having a g sound and changing it to an sound. It's going to be about the same spot as you say the G sound to the but instead of letting the air come out like g, the R needs to stay and it needs to hold. So if they can get their tongue, we can go g, 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 grrr, and hold it. Don't let it release. It should eventually produce a good R sound as long as it's tight and high and back the tongue. It's important that kids say the sound in isolation correctly first. If they can't say it on its own, just the sound, it can be really tricky to move to words and sentence level. So once you can master in isolation and on its own, you can go ahead and practice R in words and sentences. Try to have fun with this, play games, make it a game, do it at fun times of the day. You can also incorporate technology. That is always very motivating to my clients to be able to use the tablets when we're doing therapy. One of the apps that I really love is Speech Essentials. It has lots of great content and really fun things. So here's a little bit more about how you might be able to use Speech Essentials at home.
Whether you're a therapist or a parent, take a couple minutes and check out how Speech Essentials might help you. The word flashcards are a great place to start. It's easy to use, has great image and sound quality, and each time you start the activity, the word list is different, so it's not too repetitive for your child. The cheering at the end of each list is a great time to celebrate and reinforce the progress they have made. Here's a tip from our speech therapist.
When using the flashcards, say the word 5 to 10 times before moving on to the next card. This allows the brain to reprogram the motor skills used to create the sound, which may take a few tries to get right.
As you are practicing with your child, make sure to use the mirror function that is built right into Speech Essentials.
For many kids struggling with correct pronunciation, being able to see what their mouth looks like next to what yours looks like when you make the sound correctly can really help correct the issue. And this is very helpful with sounds that are made at the front of the mouth with the lips and the teeth. Sounds like B, P, TH, and L especially.
Speech Essentials also has sentence-level flashcards to help children practice implementing what they are learning in full sentences. By tapping the picture, your child will hear the full sentence with correct pronunciation that they can then mimic.
We live in Oregon.
This is a great feature if you aren't able to be right there practicing with them.
This is a step that shouldn't be skipped when practicing. Once a child can say a sound in a word, it's important to increase the complexity. This will help your child implement what they've learned into regular conversation. Starting with the word swap sentences can help make it easier because only one target word changes in each sentence.
There are also 2 different games to make speech therapy engaging. A memory-style card matching game that even the smallest child can play, and a word find game.
Endless drilling using flashcards will quickly lose the interest of children. Have fun playing the games, and your child will hardly notice that they're working on their speech. Every time a word or a match is found is a great opportunity to practice the word 5 or 10 times before taking their next turn in the game.
Try Speech Essentials with your child and see how much of a difference it can make.